Hello, everyone. Hello, parents. Hope you're having a great day, whatever day it is that you are watching this. I just would like to say thank you to Amanda Woudstra for providing the video for last week. I hope you all found it helpful. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again in case you've never heard me say it, but I love talking and listening to parents and hearing their creativity and sharing with each other. We are all part of the church. In the first video, I talked about how the church partners with the parents. So I work at the church, and so I'm hired specifically to care for young people. And so, of course, it makes sense that I partner with the families, but we are all part of the church. I'm sure we've all been in a church service where we've witnessed a baptism, and we've all promised the parents that we would help them raise their kids in the faith. We are all together. We are all partners. We are partners in the gospel. So that's a good segue with what we're going to be doing for our next family challenge. Last week was our last week for the family devotional challenge. We were talking a lot about cultivating habits and routines where we spent time with our kids and intentionally talked about faith with them. So now we're talking about growing with our kids again, but this time the goal is creating warmth. So simply spending time with them and getting to know them and making those memories. We're going to hear from a couple of parents and some of their ideas, and they're going to give a challenge to the church at the beginning of the week. So if you have an idea as well as a parent and you're watching this and you want to partake, please send me an email and we'll see what we can do to get you hooked up. Today's video is simply introducing a new way to think about the stages that kids are in, because our theme is meeting kids with where they're at. So if we know what stage they're in, then we know best as parents how to meet them in that particular stage. So we tend to think of the 13 and 18-year-olds as adolescents or teenagers. Then when they turn 18, then we call them young adults or emerging adults, and then they stay that way until they're 29 or 30 or so. I don't think those are necessarily bad ways to think about them, but I really like how Fuller Youth Institute defines these stages, because the names of their stages also provides a bit of an explanation about that stage. So we can think of 13 to 18-year-olds as learners, 18 to 23-year-olds as explorers, and 23-year-olds to 30-year-olds or 29-year-olds as focusers. So show you what I mean, I created a little visual. I am not super graphic-y, but here's a little bit about what I mean. So we have 13 to 18, learner, 18 to 23, explorer, 23 to 29, a focuser. So aren't these just better names? Like, what is a learner? Someone who learns. What's an explorer? Someone who explores. What is a focuser? Someone who focuses. So what are kids learning when they're 18 or when they're 13 to 18? They're learning about their physical bodies, they're changing, learning about their emotions. They have a lot of they have relationships that they're learning about with both genders. An explorer, someone who's exploring. They're exploring what kind of work that they want to do and what they want to study. They're exploring their gifts that they have and what interests them. They're exploring their faith and how that works in their new life. What is a focuser? Someone who is focusing. After learning and exploring, they have a better idea of what they like, and so they have a bit of a trajectory now, so they begin to focus on careers, they focus on relationships. So getting married is very common in this stage, as well as having specific friends that they intentionally invest time in. They focus in on their beliefs here too. They focus on trying to connect with a church that fits their perspective and also celebrates the people that they have become. So as parents, if we think about the kids in this stage as their learners, their explorers, and their focusers, then we can think about how to best meet them in that stage. So what does a learner need? A learner needs a teacher. What does an explorer need? Explorer needs a guide. What does a focuser need? A focuser needs a resourcer. And to make this more fun, you likely have multiple age kids. So you get to be a teacher, a guide, and a resourcer all in one day. Yay! So I'm just gonna put my screen back here. So if you're a teacher parent, you are essentially seeing your kids grow. You are the safe place for your kids to make mistakes and to try again. You're affirming them as they just progress right in front of your eyes. You're constantly encouraging them as they practice and get better at trying new things and as they're trying different skills. Parents as guides, a really good visual is if you're pretending you're in a jungle, you're letting your kids walk ahead of you. And so you're letting them make their own decisions and setting their own goals. And you're just constantly gauging how close to get and how far to let them go ahead. So an example in this stage, if you are there exploring, you're trying to stay away from the teacher stage because that can cause some tension, but you're a guide. So if they're making some decisions or going in some directions, your goal is not to grab them and throw them behind you. Your goal is to empathize with them, trying to understand them. Maybe you don't like the person that they're dating, or maybe you don't like the career that they're taking. And so you are trying to understand them and guiding them in the right way without telling them, like that they're making a terrible decision. um, Parents, if you're a resourcer, you are just very available to your kids. Kids begin seeking you out because they realize that you have done that you've done all those things that they want to do, and they can seek you out to ask you questions. So they might ask you like, hey, how do you buy a house? How did this work when you were a parent? How do I advance in my career? What financial investments should I make? So chances are good that your kids will come to you with these questions, but they might not come to you for everything, and maybe they won't come to you at all. So therefore, this parenting stage requires patience. As a resourcer, there's no such thing as a forcer resourcer. I just made that up. So you're finding that balance between, you don't want to be too aloof, but you don't want to be too controlling either. So I hope that that's helpful. It's going to show you the visual again. And the point of that is just to see how you can meet your kids well. Knowing your kid is a learner, then you want to be that teacher. And then in the example that I gave earlier with the explorer, it's going to cause a lot of tension in the relationship if you're trying to be a teacher when your kid is an explorer or a focuser. It's kind of meeting them when they're at and kind of cultivating growing with rather than growing apart. And so, like I said in the last video, that growing in warmth, meeting your kids where they're at, is very much part of faith formation. Do I sound really smart? If I do, it's because of this book right here, Growing With. I think I mentioned it in the parent meeting in the fall. At that point, I had not read it yet, but I'd heard about it. But now I've read it, and I definitely recommend it. It is a wonderful book, and I pretty much just summarized chapter 2 in this video right now. So Growing With, highly recommend it. Really good book to learn how to grow with your kids in faith. This may or may not be a prize for one of the next family challenges that we have. So thanks very much for your attention, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.